Hi everybody, welcome to English Digest. I'm Pat.
And I'm Tom, and today we are talking about the environment, and we're talking about food waste. Maybe you think that you don't waste food at all. Maybe you clean your plate, but evidently there's a lot of food that is wasted, and some people see this as a problem, and they're trying to do something about it.
Exactly. We're going to find out that supermarkets do get rid of quite a lot of food that they should probably use. And of course, food waste creates big problems for the world. It's not just in terms of the space it takes up. It's because gas comes off the food waste, and that, of course, contributes to climate change, environmental problems, all sorts of things like that. So luckily, people are doing different things to prevent food waste, to kind of fight back against this kind of culture we have. I guess is a bit of a global culture about wasting food that needs to be changed. And in today's article, we're going to look at two of the solutions that people have come up with to deal with this problem. Let's take a read through the article. The world is waking up to the problem of food waste. Back in 2011, a study showed that 1.3 billion tons of edible food was wasted. This includes loss during production, as well as items thrown away by supermarkets and consumers. All of it could have been eaten by those too poor to afford healthy meals. What's worse, food waste places a huge environmental burden on the earth. Fortunately, a number of people are taking steps not only to raise awareness about food waste, but also to combat it directly. One of these people is Rob Greenfield from Wisconsin, US. In 2007, he traveled across the US on a bamboo bicycle to promote sustainable living. What made his journey inspiring is that he set a goal of only eating locally grown, organic, unpackaged food. However, as he found it difficult to get this directly from farmers, Greenfield's solution was to dive into dumpsters. He discovered that many supermarkets dispose of perfectly good food. Since then, Greenfield has been on a quest to rescue food from dumpsters and share it at local parks. He also champions the donate, don't dump idea, in which supermarkets donate food products to food banks and similar institutions rather than letting things go to waste. In Europe, people are tackling the food waste issue too. Volunteers in Berlin, Germany, collect surplus food from supermarkets and take it to urban fridges that anyone can use. Passers-by can also donate their own food by simply leaving it in the fridge. In addition, a similar project has sprung up in several Spanish cities. One of these is the Solitary Fridge in Galdacao near Bilbao, which accepts donations from restaurants and grocery stores. Hopefully, these examples will encourage others to think twice before they waste food that would make a nourishing meal for someone in need.
Okay, so let's talk about our article today. The title today is Food Waste Solutions, or Answers to the Problem of Food Waste. And we're calling this Dumpster Diving and Free Fridges. Now, a dumpster is a large garbage or waste receptacle that's usually behind some kind of store or building, and it holds large amounts of rubbish or garbage, a dumpster. And if you dive into a dumpster, well, gee, that kind of makes it sound like it's a swimming pool or something.
It does a little bit, but it's actually going in there to find things that are still useful, food that is still good, bits of things that could still be used. So dumpster diving is literally diving into a dumpster to recover things. And we've also got free fridges to look at, which is this idea we'll get onto later. So the article begins by saying the world is waking up to the problem of food waste. If you are waking up to something, it's kind of like you were just kind of asleep, going through life asleep. You didn't really know about this problem before, but now, like the sun, when you wake up, you're starting to become more aware of the problem. So if you are waking up to a problem, you are becoming more aware of it, you're understanding more about it and how it affects the world.
Indeed. Waking up, of course, means you just stop sleeping in the morning and you're awake. But if we add the preposition to here, that means you're kind of facing something that you weren't expecting. So you might wake up to the problem of global warming, or you might wake up to the problem of antibiotics. I guess they're no longer working and we're all going to get infected someday. But in any case here, yes, the world is waking up to the problem of food waste. My goodness, we waste a lot of food. Back in 2011, which was about, 5 years ago, a study or some research showed that 1.3 billion tons of edible food was wasted. A ton, of course, is a unit of weight. It's like 2,000 pounds or something like that. And edible means that you can eat it. It is actually able to go into your body and be digested and used as fuel. Edible, okay? Parts of a pine tree, for example, are edible.
Okay, now this included loss during production, so as the food was made in factories, some stuff would be thrown away just as it goes, like cutting out a beef steak, they just throw away the rest. And it also includes items thrown away by supermarkets and consumers. A consumer is just someone who buys stuff. So what we mean here is food that's maybe past its sell-by date or just doesn't look as fresh or appetizing anymore. Even though it's still good to eat, people still throw it away. And all of it could have been eaten by those too poor to afford healthy meals. They don't care if it's a day past its sell-by date or if there's a little spot of brown on some of it. People who are poor and in need of food can eat that stuff still. And so can we, without any problems.
Sure. Actually, they just want to be safe. It's better to be safe than sorry, so supermarkets throw out that food just in case it's a little bit too old, even though it's probably perfectly good. A consumer, of course, is somebody who buys and uses products and services in society. We're all consumers. And all of this food could have been eaten by those too poor to afford healthy meals. Okay, so indeed, most of us have enough money to go out and buy food from a market or a supermarket, but some people aren't so fortunate. They are too poor to afford those healthy meals. They just don't have enough money to purchase the food or to go to a restaurant, or maybe they don't even have enough money to go buy some snacks in a night market.
Yep, in that sentence, the word those just means those people. The article also says, what's worse, food waste places a huge environmental burden on the earth. Environmental is just the adjective related to environment. So an environmental burden means it's hurting the environment. A burden is something heavy that needs to be carried. So the earth has to kind of carry the weight and the problems caused by this food waste, which, like we mentioned in our introduction, involve things like filling up land and creating greenhouse gases.
That's right. If food rots, for example, it begins to produce gases, maybe like methane or something like that, which is pretty bad for global warming, even worse than carbon dioxide, I understand. Methane is a real killer there. And yes, indeed, this food places a big burden on the earth. The earth has already got enough problems. My goodness, what's going to happen to the earth if we keep throwing our food away? Now, let's move on now to the next paragraph. It says, fortunately, it's good for us, a number of people are taking steps not only to raise awareness about food waste, but also to combat it directly. So we've got a number of people, a large amount of people, and these people are taking steps. They're doing something not only to raise awareness about food, but also to combat it directly. So notice in this sentence, we've got the phrase, not only, blah, 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 but also. So not only are they raising awareness, but they are also fighting it directly. Here the word combat means to fight something, and awareness just means how aware you are of something And when it exists, that you know it's there. Raise awareness. Lots of people are trying to raise awareness of global warming or raise awareness of crime in a society, etc.
Now, one of these people is Rob Greenfield from Wisconsin, US. It's a state right up at the top of the US, not far from Canada. Now, in 2007, he traveled across the US on a bamboo bicycle. So that's a bicycle made of bamboo, all these different parts. Instead of being made of metal or something, it's made of bamboo. And he did this to promote sustainable living. To promote something means to kind of make it more popular or make more people know about it. And sustainable, this word means it's able, in terms of like food or farming, to be used again without affecting the environment. So sustainable farming is where people grow their food and it doesn't affect the environment. Sustainable energy is things like solar power, wind power, water power, and so on. Stuff that doesn't burn and pollute as we use it to make energy. So using a bamboo bicycle, all natural materials, promotes sustainable living. You know, why use metal when you can use these natural things? So that's what he did. He traveled around the US on a bamboo bicycle to show people what they could do.
Exactly. And again, he wanted to promote sustainable living. Sustainable means it can be maintained at a certain level, but also it does refer to achieving a balance in the environment where you don't waste materials and things can kind of move in a cycle and everything is recycled and it's used again and everybody's happy and there's no waste created and the future looks very bright for everybody. And indeed, we're going to continue talking about our article in the near future, but first we need to listen to our Chinese teacher.
Hello everyone, my name is Tina. 我们今天要看的主题是拒绝浪费粮食。首先来看到第一个空格，在这里提到的句子写着 Out of it, blank one, by those too poor to afford healthy meals. 前面呢提到了每一年所浪费的食物高达13亿吨，而这些食物呢其实是可以给那些太贫困而负担不起健康餐点的人们吃。我们来看一下第一题的选项，都是用助动词再来搭配动词的这样子的形态。首先要看到在第一个空格前面的主词是 it 指的就是这些被浪费的食物原本是可以被这些太穷的人所吃掉的，所以搭配文意呢跟过去事实相反，我们就可以用的是 could have 再加上被动态，所以正确答案就选择 D 选项的 could have been eaten， 代表这些食物原本是可以被吃掉了，但是却很可惜的被大家给丢弃。What's worse, food waste places a huge environmental blank too on the earth. 除此之外呢，这些浪费的食物对整个地球来讲也造成一个很巨大的环境的什么呢？ A 选项 refusal 拒绝， B precaution 预警， C burden 负担， D component 成分要素。这些被丢掉的食物呢，对地球造成了一个很大的环境负担。搭配文意，第二题的标准答案就选择 C burden。
We're going to take a little bit of a break right now, but please stay tuned. We'll be right back. Okay, let's continue talking about food waste solutions. We're doing some dumpster diving, and we're also talking about free fridges, which we'll get to in a second. Now, remember where we left off. We were talking about a fella from Wisconsin. Hey, that's where my mother's from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And this is a fella by the name of Rob Greenfield. He rode his bicycle across the U.S. to raise awareness about food waste. And what made his journey inspiring is that he set a goal of only eating locally grown, organic, unpackaged food. Oh, wow. That sentence is loaded with adjectives here. So the thing that made his journey inspiring, or what made it inspiring, what made us all want to know about this trip and get some ideas from this trip and want to help the environment as well, is that he set a goal of only eating locally grown food. And, of course, locally grown food means it's not imported from someplace else. If he's in Wisconsin, he's going to be eating Wisconsin steaks or Wisconsin soybeans or whatever. He's not going to be eating oranges imported from Florida or stuff like that. And it also has to be organic, which means it uses direct stuff from the soil. It does not use artificial fertilizers.
Yeah, no chemicals, no chemical pesticides and things like that.
And it also has to be unpackaged, which means it's probably not processed food.
Exactly.
It's straight from the shelf, from the market. It's not in some kind of a plastic or inside a box.
However, as the article says, as he found it difficult to get this directly from farmers, and in some regions it would have been difficult if there weren't that many farms in the area, his Greenfield's solution was to dive into dumpsters. And we mentioned dumpsters earlier, so he found these dumpsters outside supermarkets and started going through them for stuff. And he discovered that many supermarkets dispose of perfectly good food. Like we said, they throw stuff away even if it's still completely safe and edible. They're just concerned that maybe it's a little dangerous, they might get in trouble, or it won't sell because it doesn't look so good. But they throw it out when people could be eating it.
Right. I don't know if they necessarily pull it straight out of the dumpster. Maybe he talks to the supermarket and say, well, before you throw it in the dumpster, I'll take the food. I don't know if I'd like to buy food that was...
He actually took it from the dumpster.
Oh, he did?
Straight from the dumpster.
Really? Well, that's pretty remarkable. Maybe he cleans it up or something first.
You give it a wash.
Gives it a bit of a wash. And as we said, though, it's still perfectly good food. So, yes, he dives into those dumpsters or gets the food straight from those dumpsters. And he discovered that many supermarkets dispose of perfectly good food. Supermarkets do that all the time. They reach their expiration date, the food does, and they just don't want to have it on the shelves, even though it's still perfectly good. So they send it to the dumpster, and Mr. Greenfield is there waiting to get that food. And Greenfield has been on a quest to rescue food from dumpsters and share it at local parks. So here we have the word quest. If you're on a quest for something, it's kind of your mission. It's your goal, and this is what he wants to do with the environment. And I guess he probably can make some money in the process there by selling that food or maybe giving it away at a local park. He shares it at a local park, so I guess that implies that he's not selling it.
No, he's not in this thing for profit. He's looking to just kind of reduce the burden of food waste, get food to people who need it, that kind of thing, which is why he also champions the donate, don't dump idea, in which supermarkets donate food products to food banks and similar institutions rather than letting things go to waste. So if you champion something, you kind of you publicly declare, this is my cause, this is what I'm fighting for, and I want to tell other people to do this thing and encourage people and let people know about it. So it's kind of like you are making yourself the champion, the leader, the representative of this particular idea, which in this case is donate, don't dump.
Exactly. It's interesting here that the word champion is being used as a verb. It's most often used as a noun. We are the champions, my friends. But here, champion, as Pat just said, is being used as a verb. And donate is also a verb here. I guess that you could technically pronounce this word as donate as a verb, but I've heard both pronunciations. So yes, donate and don't dump that food. And the supermarkets, I guess, kind of bypass the dumpsters here and they donate food products to food banks, which is a place where food is stored so that it can be distributed to people who need it. A food bank. When I was a kid, we used to donate food to the local food bank as part of a school project. We'd bring food in and stuff like that. And he would also donate that food to similar institutions, which is some kind of organization, probably a non-profit organization.
Yeah, churches in England do a lot of this sort of thing.
Sure. Yeah, church or something, maybe a temple or whatever. And he does this rather than let the food go to waste. If something goes to waste, that means it's wasted, it's not used, and it's a pity.
Now, this isn't just happening in the US. The article says in Europe, people are tackling the food waste issue too. So to tackle something is to deal with a problem. It's to figure out, okay, this is causing difficulties. What are we going to do about it? How are we going to tackle it? Which could mean stop it, solve it, deal with it, approach, and just basically handle this problem. A lot of similar words that mean similar things. We're using tackling here, which I guess is almost like a sporting word. When you tackle someone, you stop them and often take the ball off them if it's a game of football or something. So if you tackle an issue, you stop that issue in its tracks.
Indeed. So he wants to take care of this problem. He wants to tackle it. He wants to solve this problem. And again, well, we're not just talking about Mr. Greenwood anymore. We're talking about people in Europe. So let's go to Germany, Deutschland, Berlin there. We got volunteers. They collect surplus food from supermarkets and take it to urban fridges that anyone can use. And also, they're collecting this surplus food. Again, this is kind of similar to the supermarkets in the U.S. where it's waste food, but here they're calling it surplus food. Surplus just means extra.
Okay, more than you need.
Exactly. I remember when I visited my uncle in Philadelphia, my cousin took me to an Army Navy surplus store where they had extra equipment that the Army and the Navy didn't need anymore, so you could buy yourself some Army jackets and stuff like that. It was a surplus store, stuff with the extra stuff. So yes, this is an amount left over. And the supermarkets then take it to urban fridges, or at least the volunteers do. Urban means it's in a city as opposed to a rural area, an area in the country, and anybody can use the food there. They can just stop there, open up the fridge door, and voila, you've got some leftover German sausage.
Exactly, and passers-by can donate their own food by simply leaving it in the fridge. So if you have something and you think, okay, I might not use this, or I don't want this, but I don't want to waste it, you can just take it and put it in the fridge. Now, there are some rules. I had a look. So you've got to use certain rules to make sure it doesn't go rotten or bad. But within those rules, you can just make sure that you don't waste your food by putting it in the fridge. And it's not just Germany where this is taking place. The article says, in addition, a similar project has sprung up in several Spanish cities. The phrasal verb to spring up means to come into existence, usually suddenly, kind of like a plant shooting up and breaking the ground and appearing in the air in spring. So these fridges have just been appearing in Spain just kind of very quickly, almost overnight, as soon as people had the idea.
And this, of course, is in Spain. We're going up to northern Spain here to the Basque region. And one of these is the solitary fridge in Galdacao near Bilbao. Solitary means it's all by itself, the solitary fridge in this city in northern Spain, which accepts donations from restaurants and grocery stores. So that's a similar project. They accept these donations.
Exactly, and not just supermarkets. They're getting restaurants involved to stop them throwing away food, small grocery stores. And again, it's for anybody, suppose you just come to the country or you were down on your luck, you've lost your job, you're a mother with children, and you can go and get yourself some free food if you're in need, and leave some stuff as well. Sometimes people just make it just so they can put it in the fridge.
Really?
Like, I've got some spare leftover ingredients. I'll use it, but I'm not going to just keep it. I'm going to put it in there because rather than waste these, I'll make it. I'll put something tasty in there.
Sounds very generous. Now, hopefully, these examples will encourage others to think twice before they waste food that would make a nourishing meal for someone in need. So maybe we can get some ideas from this and donate that food. I don't know if you can do that in Taiwan. I'm sure there are organizations, maybe some churches or Buddhist organizations that do this very thing. So yes, think twice before you just throw that food down the disposal there or send it out to the garbage truck. Maybe someone could use it somewhere and it would make a nourishing meal. Nourishing means it's good for you. It's got lots of nutrition and minerals and vitamins and stuff like that. So yes, indeed, someone in need or someone poor might actually benefit from the food you were originally going to throw out.
Okay, and that is the end of our article. We're going to listen now to our Chinese teacher, then we'll be back to wrap things up.
这时候呢，就有一个人呢，他是美国人，名字叫做 Rob Greenfield， 他就想要呢建立起一个永续的生活方式。他从事怎么样的行为呢？在第3个空格提到What made his journey blank 3 is that he set a goal of only eating locally grown, organic, unpackaged food. 他呢骑着自己做的脚踏车来跨越美国，提倡这种永续的生活方式。这个第3个空格就要考同学句型的架构，这里的真正动词是 is， 后面是用 that 来加子句，当作是 is 的受词，而真正的主词就是 what made his journey 再加上 blank 3。 我们如果看了前后文，就会发现他这样子的心智是非常的激励人心的，所以第3题的标准答案就选择 B inspiring。第3题的其他选项 A insulting 羞辱人的， C inferior 次级的， D intimate 亲密的都不符合文意。接着来看到第4个空格 However, as he found blank 4 difficult to get this directly from farmers, Greenfield's solution was to dive into dumpsters。当然了，他发现如果要吃当地种的有机又没有过度包装的食物，实在是有一点点困难，没有办法直接从农夫那边得到这样子的需求。那他的解决方式就是去垃圾车里面寻找食物咯。在这里也是要考同学，第4个空格我们用 it 这个虚主词来代替后面的To get this directly from farmers， 他觉得直接要从农夫这边找到他要的食物是非常困难的，这时候我们就可以用 it 来代替后面的不定词片语，所以第4题的标准答案就选择 A it。第5个空格他提到 He discovered that many supermarkets blank 5 perfectly good food。 他发现许多超市怎么样非常完美状态很好的食物。我们来看一下第5题的选项 A engage in 从事于， B dispose of 去除丢弃， C contribute to致力于。他发现许多的超市呢，就把这些状态还非常好的食物把它给丢弃，是非常可惜的。所以第5题的标准答案就选择 B dispose of。接着呢，后面又延续了，有人呢发想，然后想到了用 solitary fridge， 也就是单独冰箱，把多余的食物放在冰箱里面，那么路过的人肚子饿就可以取得这些食物了。我们来看一下第6个空格的句子，它写着 One of these is the solitary fridge in Gildegau near Bilbao. Blank 6 Donations from restaurants and grocery stores。 在这里是要补充说明，在西班牙毕尔包的这个城市当中呢，看到的这个 solitary fridge 单独冰箱，它是可以接受来自餐厅或者是杂货店这些多余捐赠的食物。在这里呢，我们要补充说明，所以用逗号 which 就是代替前面的 the solitary fridge in Gildegau near Bilbao。接着我们来看到第7个空格 Hopefully these examples will blank 7 others to think twice。 他希望呢这些例子可以怎么样让人们在丢弃食物之前可以三思而后行。当然希望借由这些例子来鼓励大众咯，要三思而后行。搭配文意第7题我们可以选择 C 选项的 encourage 有鼓励的意思， A 选项 illustrate 举例说明， B confine 限制， D regulate 规范都不符合文意。以上就是今天的课文讲解，谢谢收听。
Okay, guys, that is the end of today's article. Hopefully, we've inspired you either to find a way to donate food rather than waste it. If that's all you do and all you learn from this article, that is good enough. Donate, don't dump. There are plenty of ways you can do it. There are food banks in Taiwan, so donate, don't dump. Okay, that is the end of our article. For English Digest, I'm Pat.
And I'm Tom.
We'll talk to you again soon. Bye.